another episode of Church After Hours. I'm your man, Curtis Kareem. Special episode. We want to have a reaction to the Freaknik documentary that just came out on Hulu. I know everybody here watched it. You know what I'm saying? You might have seen your mom on it or your auntie. Brother Diallo was the only one in our group on screen right now that actually went. He went to the Freaknik right before it died. I'm gonna let him get into that. But before that, how everybody doing? What's up with you, D?
I'm good, man. I'm good, brother. Just enjoying this beautiful Sunday afternoon, man. Just chilling out with the fam today, being lazy, just chilling, and can't wait to get into this conversation, man. For real, this gonna be a good one.
Ant, what's up,
What
man?
up? What up, fellas? Not much. Sitting here live at the flag football field. Excited about we reuniting, getting with my guys, church after hours. We're gonna get in a little after hours gossip. You know what I'm saying? We go pass the collection plate today.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, man, I see you out there with your green on. Is that your Green Bay green or what?
Oh, green and gold till I'm dead and cold.
Yeah, that's what's up. Well, Jay, what's going on with you, man?
What up? What up? I'm glad his phone cut out a little bit before he said that mess. Hey, yeah, man. Everything good, man. Up early, man. Get on here with my guys. Church after hours before I get to work tonight. Stop by my parents' house, celebrate my daughter's 21st birthday, and get to the work site. But yeah, definitely caught that. Freaknik got some questions and some things I need answered from Brotha Insight. I know he was there live and in the flesh, so I gotta pick your brain a little deeper as we go down this rabbit hole.
Cool. Yeah. Before we get into it, man, I want to pass the collection plate to Brother Ant so he can get it full for me. You know what I'm saying? Because I know before we got on here, you want to talk about what?
Yeah. Let's talk about it. Kendrick Lamar, Aubrey, Cole. What? I'm just saying. What do y'all think, man? It's about time. Aubrey gonna have to say something.
Let me start this off real quick, though. Honestly, I'm gonna disagree with you. I don't think Aubrey has to say anything, right? And the reason why I say that is because out of the three, Aubrey's the only one that's battle tested. I'm not the biggest Drake fan, but he went up against Common and held his own. He went up against Meek Mill and destroyed him. Now he did lose to Pusha T, but he pulled up a valid, effort. We're not gonna front like W Freestyle wasn't dope. You know what I'm saying? Cole and Kendrick is the only two that's not battle tested in that regard. The Kendrick a joint that he did Control where he called out all the MCs and nobody really responded to him except for a bunch of older rappers who didn't really have a dog in the fight at the time. But I'm excited to see what Cole is going to say because Cole is out of the three right now. He's the hottest MC. Every feature he's jumping on. His last album was solid. He's in album mode. The Fall Off is about to come out. I'm excited to see what he says. But I think Kendrick just threw out, you know what I'm saying, a little filler and see who bites the bait before he really attacks. Because Geminis are very strategic like that. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, this is the only thing that either one of them have to do to solidify their legacy. Nas did it, Jay did it, Rock.
So wait, hold on. So Kendrick, you saying drop it, or Kendrick was responding to J. Cole?
It's a combination of the two because J. Cole and Drake took a few little jabs at him in the first person shooter joint, and he responded to it. So he gave him a warning shot. He didn't address him full ahead of steam, but he put just enough out there to see if he can get a response from either one of them, and particularly J. Cole.
Hey, let me go ahead and get out the way because I wasn't familiar. I don't listen to J. Cole, and I recently stopped listening to Drake. Nas been putting out so much that I've been fed. So you know what I mean. I've been selective for.
I've been fed.
I've been fed. You know what I mean.
I'm with you.
Both of y'all act like me.
I've been having some appetizers. I've been having some appetizers like Currency, the Griselda Gang, You know what I mean? Every now and then, Ghostface peek his head into little freestyles and stuff like that. I don't know if y'all heard that Claudine. You know,
yeah.
that's hot fire. He got another one out too. I can't remember who it is, but so I had to ask, you know, one of the YGs what the big three even was. And once that was explained to me, I think this was a pivotal part of the whole situation was what was it, J. Cole that called them, named them the big three?
Well, the people
Was it Dre?
the people kind of started calling them the big three. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm talking about the person that actually said it in a song.
Cole
J.
said it
Cole.
on first person
J. Cole.
shooter. Cole said it on first person shooter.
Right. So he did what Jay-Z did when he said, is it Jay-Z, Biggie, or
Nas?
Or Nas, right? He did that in the same way.
Right.
And I like the fact that Katie responded in the fact that, like, I'm not standing next to you, cats.
No big three.
It's
I'm
just
at the
me.
top alone.
Yeah.
He said, "Big me."
He basically
This is
said
big
he was
me.
Bron. He basically
And
said
then-
he was Bron. He said, I ain't Mike, I'm Bron. You
Who?
feel what I'm saying?
They go.
See, there you go. There you go,
Because
man. There
they
you
play,
go.
they play with the Celtics.
No.
They
See,
play
hold
with
up.
the Celtics.
See,
They play with that Celtics. Can
that's
I
a bad
finish?
comparison, man.
Can I finish? They play with that Celtics big three,
That's
but
a
Scotty,
horrible-
Mike, and Robin was the original big three. But I digress on that subject.
You can't say that. If we gonna go into that area, you gotta call out.
Man.
You gotta call out the
Bird, McHale, Parrish.
Bird,
Right.
McHale.
So okay. So
Magic, Kareem,
You can't
and
say
Worthy.
original.
Right.
You can't
Right.
say
So
original.
I like the fact that we're admitting it takes more than just Michael Jordan to win all them championships.
But they won. But
I
they won with their big three. That
Okay.
nigga 30% for winning, nigga, in the chat.
All
You can't put your money on LeBron James in no finals.
He
Come
got
on, man.
4 of them.
Steph
Don't
got
go
4
off.
too.
Don't go off topic.
Steph
All
got
right, you
4
right.
too in the same
You're
level.
right, Jay. You're right, Jay. So let me go back to J. Cole calling him part of the big three. Like, to me, I think that sounds like a crutch. Like, why can't you say you the top? You know what I mean? I got another thing that I want to put into the a ring of this. You know, 2 out of the 3 cats in this is biracial. I'm not saying that means anything, but I am gonna say, you know, not only do you have that, but it's only one street cat out of the 3 too. So
I'm gonna give you some pushback on that, Kurt. And I know my brother hasn't went yet, but I wouldn't say Kendrick is a street cat because on Good Kid, Mad City, he talks about how he was raised up in the hood, but he never got active in the streets.
He was affiliated.
Was raised in that.
He was
raised in that environment.
He was exposed.
Yeah,
but to me, that album you talked about, that's the one with the van where his mama keeps calling. Yeah. Well, even then, they was in the streets, brother. At that whole album was about them being in the streets.
It was about living in that environment and not necessarily partaking and being active like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they did break in the house.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I can understand what Kurt's saying.
That's my favorite Kendrick. That's my favorite.
Yeah. That's
K Dot, get your freestyles ready.
Right. Hey. That you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So we put that in the fire. But my greater point is to say that, you know, Kendrick is the only street cat out of the whole conversation, but he's the one that makes the dopest albums, not talking
that's
about that.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean? His last album was immaculate, talking about, you know, emotions and
mental health,
brother. Like that to me is his second greatest album.
The joint with Ghostface on there.
That's the hardest song on there.
And he went and got somebody that had on wax have talked about his mental health and his emotions, like his whole career. You know, like I thought that was dope. So I say all that to say, K Dot, I think he the coldest of the you know, guys that's out right now. You know, as they keep talking second shooter, first shooter, or whatever the song was called, like they not like that. I can't wait to see. He said a trap, and I like what D said, but I'm gonna say it more simpler. He said a trap.
He did.
It's up.
I mean, at this point, they don't have nothing. The way we work and the way the internet runs, they gotta say something.
Yes.
And really,
yeah.
like, and you with the internet, the way everything is quick. They got probably less than a week at this point before the conversation switches, and we on here talking about they suckers and everything else. So I mean, you got to hurry up and it's a quick turnaround on a diss track these days. The days of Nas, what Nas set back for like 6 months before
Nas waited 5 months before he responded to Takeover.
Jay, before he and that's my opinion, ether Jay, but these days
No, ain't no opinion,
that
that's
was
a fact.
wisdom.
Ain't
That
no
was
opinion, that's a fact. That's a
because they
verb.
said the first thing he almost put out wouldn't have been no coming back from. So
It was too emotional.
So I need to hear something from Aubrey and your boy Cole. You know, I never mess. I guess I'm gonna sound like a hater. I never really messed with Cole, so I couldn't really tell you probably 3 or 4 of his songs, and that's not
that's
me.
crazy.
I just was
I'm
never
the same
big
way.
on him.
I'm the same way.
And my brother know I'm gonna put this on the internet. I'm gonna let him know. I took that. I let Nas down. I took it the left. I took it to the left. Like, if you coming in this game and everybody say how dope you are, but you go, and not to say Nas is one of the OGs, but I wouldn't put that on wax that I let him down because I decided to go this lane with my career and not the way that he wanted me to go from a man that I don't, have any upbringing around me to let me know that you that emotional and have to put that on wax about what Nas told you to do. I couldn't run with him. And that's just not say he's less of a dude. I don't want to sound like a hater, but I'm not big on his music. Let me leave it there.
And let me say this, man. Y'all just went in on my guy Cole. And I love J. Cole. I've been a big fan since the warm-up, Friday Night Lights. He's always been consistent. And I'll be honest, and y'all can agree or disagree, but right now he's the best MC actively rapping right now. When you look at all his features, the joint with Benny the Butcher, Johnny P's Caddy, the first person verse, the joint that he's done with Summer Walker, like everything that he's touching, he's been on fire. So right now, I would say
I
he's the most.
I agree with you.
Yeah, he's the most ready to engage right now because Kendrick has been quiet since the morale. What is it? The morale and the Big Steppers. And I'm gonna be honest, I love Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? I think Geminis are the greatest creatives when it comes to music and artistic speaking. But that Hillbillies with his little cousin Baby King, I don't really rock with that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think that was more so for the youth.
It was, but I personally didn't like it.
I hear you. But what me and Jay are saying is we don't listen to the music, so we don't know what's going on.
Right.
I don't think either one of us discredits J. Cole as an artist. I think he is the hottest right now, which is furthermore why Kendrick shot at him.
For sure.
Nigga bums, man.
I'm gonna make 2 Chicago references and then we're gonna move on to the next subject. The Game got a song where he used an old beat and named it The Light, like Common. He said he called everybody out. I don't think people peeped it. He said, "Step into the light. If you really want that smoke, step into the light." He was saying names.
Right.
But,
right.
Secondly, I will say that, man, K-Dot, people from Chicago, so Jay gonna give him the extra love that he needs.
Right. They from the Robert Taylor home.
Seen so many people from Chicago just represent Chicago people. I seen Godfrey do it. Godfrey was calling his peoples out from Chicago when he was on Club Shay Shay this week. Speaking about Club Shay Shay, who watched it and what y'all think of it? With
Club,
Godfrey.
yes. Hey, like my man Craig say, spell Shay Shay backwards. Yes. Shout out to my man Craig.
Hey, Craig Fact stupid.
Speaking about Johnny, Godfrey did give props to your man's Holcombs. You know what I mean?
Comedy. Corey Holcomb.
He talked about Corey Holcomb. I guess since nobody has an opinion, we're gonna move on that subject too.
But nah, let me say something about that real quick, because I didn't know if Ant wanted to go because he's been quiet. Did you want to talk about Shay Shay before we went? I didn't want to monopolize the conversation.
I am not trying to get canceled. Talking
All
about
right,
Shay
bet.
Shay.
All right, bet.
No, that's
But
right.
I thought Godfrey did a good job on that interview. People got a chance to see him on a bigger platform. You know, he hasn't been on a lot of the big platforms. And if you know him and followed him for a while, he didn't really share nothing that you didn't know, but it was just good to see him get that look. And one thing I did want to say is I didn't like the fact, and I know this is Kurt's guy, and I like him too, but Country Wayne had some disparaging things to say about Godfrey because Godfrey was saying how, go to Country Wayne's
Was
page.
it before or after this?
It was after. I was after the interview. So
because I think Godfrey did a good job of not saying anybody's name, but
he did. But he did say Country Wayne's name, and this is what he said. He said, "I felt like Country Wayne may have been a little bit off when he said if you're a working comic and you've been in it 20, 30 years and you're still in the club, you need to rethink your life." And Godfrey said that's not right because a lot of comics work in comedy clubs and make a good living. You know what I'm saying? Make $300,000-400,000 a year, which is a good living. And he said that, Godfrey, keep my name out your mouth, but Godfrey manager and him talk, so they're talking it out, and I think it's gonna work itself out because Country Wayne was in Chicago when he made the video. He's at the Chicago theater. But I think it was a good look. I'm glad that, Shannon brought him on there. Godfrey has an interesting story to tell, man. Super talented. And he's one of those cats, like he said, he brought Corey to open mic, in Chicago. He's the one that, put him on the stage first. But I think a lot of people don't realize some of your favorite comics may not be where the next comic is at. And a lot of times it's about politics because there's no way you can tell me that Godfrey isn't as talented as a lot of these other dudes that's out here that has specials and TV shows and all those type of things. And I respect cats like that even more to stand on their square. So good interview. And I was glad to see that brother, shedding light on his talent and other comics. He gave a shout out to Mike Epps. How him and Mike Epps was roommates when they first moved to New York, chasing their dream. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a great interview.
Hey, put a disclaimer right here. My brother and my father are on a first name basis with Godfrey. As it sounds like we caping for him right off the bat. But yeah, he is a friend
the
of the
same way
family,
you cape for Corey.
No, I cape for Corey too. I'm a big fan of Corey Holcomb, so I do cape for him. But I just want to let everybody know that might have tuned in right now. He is a family friend. We ain't we know he a real one.
And that's why though Godfrey don't get to me because he is a real one. And when you start talking about our counterparts in a way that's it's funny, but nah, nigga, we see that and we ain't gonna get that platform that much. You know what I'm saying? That much juice, basically. You know what I'm saying? So when Godfrey says, that's how I gotta make my money. You know what I'm saying? I gotta make my money that way.
I ain't putting on no dress. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I gotta make my money this way.
I thought it was hilarious that Country Wayne to talk about his haircut. Ain't nobody.
That was funny. That was funny. I get Country Wayne. That was funny.
Yeah. I'm a avid watcher of Country Wayne skits. Like I watch him every day. Like my wife laugh at me. You know what I'm saying? Other people laugh. I'm like, why are you watching that? Like, but your man's got a real live soap opera on YouTube.
He do.
And I love it. But his stand-up was not good.
It was lackluster.
I don't think
it was being nice.
It was that's being nice, right?
Yeah.
It was trash. Yeah. It was trash.
What about? Have you seen the movie? Have you seen this movie on Tubi?
No,
I haven't.
Okay, so I'm guessing that don't follow the soap opera, that he runs.
It wasn't. I know it was not similar. I'm not for sure. I'm not gonna say that.
I followed Country Wayne when he was on Instagram, and I even followed him in the very beginning. This dude is a real entrepreneur.
I love that brother.
He was putting a club together. He had a club way back before he even really reached these levels that he had now. So he's definitely an entrepreneur.
No doubt.
Going to get that bag. Yep. Definitely that. I give him his kudos for that.
I say they hit that lane, you know what I'm saying, that social media, the little skit lane, and they're good at the skit lane.
COVID had a part with that too.
Right. Yeah. Because a lot of them, when they try to do stand up, ain't that good on stand up. You know what I'm saying? Like it took DC Young Fly, it took him a minute to get it. You know what I'm saying? Because the Chico Beans and the Carlos Miller, them two niggas is funny. You know what I'm
Yeah,
Because
saying?
because they've been
They've
doing
been there
comedy
a minute.
first. And you
Exactly,
absolutely correct.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly.
I
And
tell you,
so
that young brother that does skits that's from Chicago.
Mojo
Yeah,
Brooks.
Mojo,
yeah,
man, that nigga, he is
Brooke.
hilarious, boy.
He's
yeah,
hilarious. Now his stand up is
His
hilarious
stand
It
too.
up is
is.
yeah.
too.
His
Yes,
stand up is
that
nice.
nigga
Yeah.
is funny, nigga.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Yeah.
then we could digress and talk about a guy. I love him. His skits is funny. He's still doing his thing, but I think he stepped out of the stand up lane with Ha Ha Davis. I think he just kind of
He kept it
stick
real.
with.
He said, I
He
can't, this
kept it
is too
real. He
much.
couldn't. I think
Yep.
that was honorable for him to do that, and he's still funny on his skits. I still mess with him on social media. So
Right.
Right.
Brothers, I got something I want to throw on the table before we get into this Freaknik conversation. And it's a interesting take that I heard, I think it was Friday. And it was on It Is What It Is with our brothers Mace and Cam. And they asked Mace, do you regret leaving the music industry when you left? And how would your life be different? How had you not left when you left? And the answer he gave, I thought was profound. What did you brothers think about when you heard what Mace had to say?
I think he said a lot without saying a lot. I mean, I think it's what's on everybody's mind. Kind of waiting on Mace to really just get the name and names to be the messy side of me want to say that. Like I wanted to just go in and tell us everything that we hearing it give us is what it is, what I'm pretty sure he's seen behind the curtain.
Right.
Long time ago before because nobody understood the moves he was making. And I think with his comments, he let everybody be known, like y'all see exactly what was going on and what was not what was going on, but what he was seeing some things that wasn't right.
Right.
I think Mace got out the game after Pimp C and them niggas saw him in that truck in Atlanta.
Oh, this dude.
Yeah, I
Refresh for
think.
people who might not know. Go ahead and tell us why
Yeah,
I'm
tell
just
us.
Yeah,
oh
I think Mace for a long time has been, connected to, spirit, and he was showed that revelation and he moved on. And yes, he did go into deep because he talked about all the things he avoided.
Right.
And
Right.
and when he talked about the things he avoided, understanding lets you know that he knew them things he didn't know specifics, but he had already seen things to let him know hey, all these things are possible.
That's right.
And he went and started preaching, so he was had ascended to another level of understanding and got up out of there. Mace, it's crazy. Like they damn near crucify him in the media, and years later you can see where we are now, man. If it wasn't for cats like Mace, we the mess we in now probably would have been around even sooner.
Yep. Yep. And it reminds me, man, and I'll give my opinion on it. It reminds me of, a lot of people was giving their unsolicited opinion about that brother, not knowing why he did what he did.
Right.
Was he really called? Was he a fake preacher? And this, that, and the third. And it reminded me of the Nas record when he said, "I'm proud of Mace for giving himself to the Lord. I wonder if Faith thinks about big anymore." You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the only people that came out and publicly, gave him a kudos for following God. If that's what that man said, he was doing, and we got to give him his props. So when you look at Shine's demise, and we talk about, Puff had a different attorney from Shine. You look at, a lot of things that went wrong.
Another thing Nas said in the song.
Right. When he said, "Why you got different
that
lawyers?"
song out like that.
Right. Why you got different lawyers?
You know what? I don't mean to bust your knowledge.
I knew he was gonna say something. That's why I didn't want to say
let me put this here, man. Like I think y'all running in the same boat as J. Cole. I let Nas down. Like if y'all don't mention Nas when we talk about hip hop and what Nas was parallel to that. Nas was doing this. Now,
let me say this,
y'all
Kurt.
really turning into I let Nas down, guys. Like
I was very apprehensive about even mentioning that, but that was those was two lines in the song pertinent to our conversation right now. It's not like we just big up in Nas for
They
no
playing,
reason. It's
they playing
very
taboo.
no. It's very
Okay, the
on
word
task and
Nas.
on message to what we talking about with Nas.
But I'm
And
pretty
Mace.
sure it's other rappers that gave Mace his props that you might not have heard of.
Hey, well, share him. I would love to hear him. You know what I'm saying? I just remember the temperature at the time. Everybody was calling Mace dumb, and that was one of the first people I heard to give him props for following God when it was frowned upon. Like, you leaving all this money and wealth behind to follow God. Like, what are you doing? So the line just came to my head. I'm like, I'm not gonna say, because I know you gonna say that, but I'm glad I said it anyway. But again, if we look at everything that was happening around him, and like Kurt said, I agree wholeheartedly. He had to see something that could potentially be coming. You know, that could have been, he could have been shined in that instance when they was in that nightclub with J-Lo. You know what I'm saying? And his life been changed forever. You know what I mean? So salute to that brother. And I'm proud he made the decision that was best for him. And he followed God. That's what he said. I gotta believe him at his word.
Hey, cats forget, you know, and I know Johnny gonna have something to say again, but cats forget, man, that Diddy had his goons, you know what I mean, bust in on Steve Stout, hit him over the head with champagne bottles to get him to take him off that cross.
Right.
In the video, Hate Me Now. So, you know, I think Nas has always been the one that's been courageous enough to say things.
To speak out. Yeah.
You know, a lot of cats aren't gonna go there. You know, it's almost like let me talk about this, man, because this has been bothering me, and I love what Ye said recently about, you know, going into himself and looking for things, you know, rather than looking outside himself. But man, what's up with Shaq? That post that Shaq put up talking about stop bitching and snitching. Right. That to me tell you all you need to know. He said stop snitching.
Right.
You know what I mean? Snitching is telling. So
right. And you the cop, so shut up.
Yeah.
Give me go deeper in that. I'm not here.
So they were at the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And Shaq, after the Super Bowl, basically said like, yeah, I was waiting for you to say something. I seen you at the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? As if he was gonna do something to him, and said, "Stop snitching and bitching, all the bitching." You know what I mean? And it's almost like, to me,
to Ye.
Yeah.
Oh, to Ye. Okay.
Yeah, he actually tweeted it or something.
Got you.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did.
But I'm like, you know, he being Shaq is so, you know, political and always says the right thing. But it was interesting that he put that out, you know, always protecting his brands. He has a lot of businesses. But to me, I felt like that was something that was given to him to say from somebody else. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, snitching on who? First of all, Shaq, your people, your peoples you in business with,
right?
Get it, you know. But yeah, it's not many that speaks out, is what I want to say. Yeah. So man, let's get right into it, man. The Freaknik documentary on Hulu. We saw that a bunch of young people from an HBCU began the Freaknik in the 80s, and throughout the years, it grew into specifically 1983. So the original was in 1983, and these I'm not gonna say four of these individuals that was in these clubs at these HBCUs and originally planned it for people that could not travel back home during spring break.
Right.
Not only could not travel, they couldn't go to the other, you know, spots like Virginia Beach and Daytona Beach that you know a lot of the Caucasian brothers and sisters was going to and doing their thing. You know what I mean? Doing it wildly, and we know it's still, you know, wild. But what are some of the takeaways in the early 80s of the documentary talking about?
I guess when I see it and Kurt get to talking about the beginning of Freaknik, I could see these kids in college going to this Freaknik with good intentions to just probably hook up, find girlfriends. Like they said, it was a barbecue.
Right.
It really started in Piedmont Park with just a barbecue, people socializing, talking, cutting up, having a good time. The fraternities or sororities having parties that night, and it wasn't really anything big. But when you put the element in, as I watched the documentary, it all took a turn when it was like, yeah, it was 25 and 30, 35-year-olds out there. And it took a turn and went left. Like these was college kids turned to grown men out here acting a fool
Right.
because of what they heard, and it went somewhere totally different. That's my take on the early years and what happened.
D, what did you think about the beginning, the Freaknik in the 80s?
And when you look at the origins or the infancy stages of the Freaknik, like everybody has already articulated, it had such a wholesome meaning and a wholesome beginning and starting point, right? These young people who couldn't afford to go home or couldn't afford to go to Black Beach or, you know, Virginia or Florida, they just like, we just go hang out, have a barbecue, kick it, you know, meet some new friends, invite some people from some different HBCUs, because Atlanta has multiple HBCUs right there in the tri-state area. So it started off as something just fun, something really economical because they couldn't afford to go home or to these other places. And then to see what it morphed into, I know for a fact there's no way they thought their little weekend or 3 or 4 day weekend would morph into what it actually morphed into when it was something that was, you know, so wholesome at the very beginning stages.
Right, yeah. The beginning stages reminded me.
He said so wholesome.
Yeah, did you do anything wholesome when you was there, my brother?
So wholesome.
We gonna get to that.
Did you do any networking at all?
We gonna get to that.
Right, pass the collection plate.
Right.
Right. Hey, so look, so the 80s, you know, when they started in 83 and, you know, when they moved to about, you know, 84 and going into the early 90s, I remember this, one of the ladies that was part of, you know, the planning committee or the founders talked about after it was over saying, wow, we did that. That immediately made me think of ASET D, which some of us was a part, which all of us, except Ant was a, you know what I mean? He was out of town, so, you know, he was a member regardless.
Right.
But ASET D, when we, you know, started throwing parties and, you know, they became citywide parties, it made me think of like, wow, did we do that?
Right.
And
that's a great analogy, Kirk, because I never thought about it that way, but that's a great analogy.
In our last party, we had problems to where it grew and grew and got a little out of hand. And but you know, theirs was obviously a way bigger situation to what it grew into. So I like what Jay talked about, you know, some of the elder years of the Freaknik, which was also about a song that Neil Rogers put together, right? Freak Out. You know, he was strumming them strings on that song on that bass, man. I didn't want to miss that part because that was a big part of it. You know what I mean? But what it morphed into, what Jay was talking about with, you know, guys that were not in school, you know, I think that was basically the death of it. I personally think that this guy, Bill Campbell, which was, what was he, the mayor at this time, or
in the 90s?
Right? Yeah, in the 90s when they were going to shut it down. It made me think about, man, this was my conspiracy thought, that he let some sex offenders out of jail, you know what I'm saying, and let them run the streets with Freaknik, because the stuff that they was doing was so predatory sounding, and we all know brothers like this, you know what I mean, that we at Surf Dance, you know, getting our freak on, which we called it too, which we dance and getting our freak on. And this guy,
let them know what Surf Dance is, man.
Right. You just threw that out there.
Yeah. So Surf Dance, it was a team, you know, Surf Cincinnati was obviously a water park here in Cincinnati, and they would shut it down, or they would open it up, I would say, in the evenings on weekend nights in the summer for, you know, the teeny boppers, you know, and we was doing. we was getting our freak on, but like I was saying, there's always
Early.
It was a
somebody.
lot of teens there too, man.
Yeah,
There
thousands
Yeah,
of
used to be a
kids.
oh
lot
yeah.
of kids for real. Like you get
Yeah.
dropped off at Surf
We could do a
Cincinnati,
whole episode just talking about Surf Cincinnati,
man.
fam.
Oh,
That's a
that'll
good
be
idea.
crazy.
Good
That
idea.
might be a good one.
So
Hey,
going back into
man.
Freaknik, when you know the videos I saw early on, these girls was voluntary because they were seeing guys that they liked. You know what I mean? They could. We all know who's young and old amongst ourselves. Maybe people
Right.
that don't look like us might not know, but we know. We know the look. We know the things they talk about and all this stuff. So, talk about specifically you, D, in '97 to when this was like right before they killed it, right? You went
Yes.
the year before they killed it. Talk about your experience, brother.
Yeah, all the people will tell you 1997 was the last year of Freaknik before it really died. 98, 99 was just it wasn't what it was.
They was
So
acting a fool in '98.
yeah, they
That
was out of control.
man.
They was out of
It
control.
went
So
somewhere
I'll
different.
give you the rundown, man. The 97, I'm at Wright State. I had just crossed IOTA. This is March of 97. And we went down, I believe it was the first weekend in April or the second weekend in April. It was one of those, but it was
It was
early
like
in
the
April.
second or third weekend,
Yeah.
right around my birthday to be exact.
Yep. So my homies from Wright State drive me to Cincinnati and I'm linking up with Wes. So me and Wes was working at Toyota Performance at the time, Performance Toyota. So the statute of limitations is up. So Wes don't be mad at me, but I'm gonna tell the story. I'm gonna tell it in its totality. We had the link where we had the Performance Toyota credit cards where we would fill up the tanks and everything. So not only did we have credit cards to get gas while we was down there, but we also took Wes's then Ultimate because I didn't get my Ultimate to the end of that year. We had 2-3 coolers full of beer,
This
bottles,
nigga just told on
the
himself.
whole 9
This
yards. You know what I'm
nigga
saying?
is
Why
still. Wow,
Melly,
you didn't
man?
Right.
This nigga
you didn't
just
Right.
even
told
have to
on.
do that.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Hey,
This nigga just.
hey, my brother told me to give it to him, so I'm giving it to him raw.
Oh,
It's been
right.
30 years.
Go ahead,
It's
go
been
ahead,
it's
brother.
been 30 years.
Oh,
So
okay. It's a
so we
Me
figured
Too
when we get
movement.
down there, we gonna be different than these other cats. So it's me, Wes, and his cousin. So we ride down
Y'all
to the
gonna be
A.
different in what way?
No, we gonna be different in the
They
ways
going to
like
network.
because what happens is when the
It's
traffic
Hustle.
breaks down,
French
when the traffic
hustle.
breaks down and everybody's on the highway on the side streets kicking it, you get out, you pop your trunk, and you kicking it. So they see the layout of the spread we got.
Right.
We go get a lot of traffic. You know what I'm saying?
All right,
That's
I
what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can dig it. Go ahead.
So long story short,
These niggas
and
set up a picnic.
Yeah, they had a bar on wheels.
that's the Nick
They
and the
had a
Freaknik, the
bar.
Nick. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, we leave Thursday early morning. We get there Friday morning. We kick it, go get something to eat. And Friday evening, when people starting to get off work, is when everything starts to go down. So as soon as the sun goes down, 75, 85, like all the major highways is backed up, side streets is stopped. Like wherever you is at that moment, you gonna be stuck there for a serious amount of time. So me and Wes and his cousin, we on 80, I'm on 75 at the time, and it was just so much traffic. Next thing you know, we see people getting out of their cars. Cats had the camcorder. You know, shout out to Wes and God rest the dead. His father, Mr. T, he was ahead of the game. He had the cameras back in the day, so we had the cameras. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a free for all, man. Like it was like being at a strip club on 75 on the side of the highway, like 7, 8 o'clock as the sun is getting ready to go down. And we was literally there for like 3-4 hours before traffic even started to move again.
Strip
Um,
club.
so I'm
Homemade.
just gonna stop right there.
What part of 75 was y'all on?
We was on the part of 75 right outside of downtown because I still got pictures, right? So we was on the part of 75 that's right outside of downtown to where you can see the Atlanta skyline when you have I remember seeing the Coca-Cola building. So we're on that part of 75 as if we're going into downtown.
Yeah, you kind of hesitated when you said you still had these pictures.
Yeah.
Is these pictures in a shoebox in the back of your closet?
Oh,
Yes, they are.
Oh,
Yes, they are.
That boy scratched the back of his neck. Like,
Hey, I still got. He was like.
Hey,
I still
because
got pictures.
again, shout out to Wes and Mr. T because Mr. T, we had the camcorder and then Wes had the Polaroid joint too. So we taking pictures and doing this, you know what I'm saying, blowing them boys. And then we had them right there before Instagram and instant pictures and under that. That's what we had. So we had Polaroids in the whole 9 yards. But that was the first night.
Wow.
He
So,
said that was the first night.
so
That
y'all
was the
barely,
first night.
Right.
y'all barely was in the city, like on the outskirts of the actual metro city,
Right.
the buildings to where they were in the background. Man, Bill Campbell done shut it down. They say, it was just, a lot of people was emotional about it, but it was just a case of big bank take small bank. The
Exactly.
Freaknik brought in 1 million, and this was 96. 96 is when they started to clean this up.
Let's get ready.
Ready for the Olympics. And that's crucial because this was 97, the year after the Olympics. So everybody was saying how Atlanta looked so much different in 95, 96 versus 97 because the city had this overflow of money that had came in. They had billions of dollars floating through the city because of the whole world was just in Atlanta the previous summer. Really not even summer, like literally like 8-9 months prior to us being there in April of 97. So it was a different time, man. Atlanta was bubbling, man. Like it was one of those places like, man, I'd rather be nowhere else in the world but here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And see, that's the spillover that spilled over to as well the Black Beach weekend because when it got shut down, it was, and because 97 I celebrated that.
You got pictures.
97,
was Black
98,
Beach
99.
weekend? What beach?
We was at Daytona.
Daytona? Okay.
Daytona Beach.
All
Black
right.
Beach weekend.
Where your pictures at?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any.
So you didn't plan like D did to keep your pictures in, you know what I mean? Make sure you can go back and look at them, huh?
And a bar in the back seat and
No. So look,
portable
let me ask y'all this.
Nah.
Specifically, D, let me ask you this. Did you see any brothers that was out of control?
And you know what? When I watched the documentary, we obviously saw and heard about brothers out of control. I didn't see any brothers out of control. I didn't see any brothers doing anything that the sisters or the women wasn't allowing them to do. I didn't see a woman say stop and the brother kept going. Like if you asked me that flat out, I didn't see any of that. You know what I'm saying?
What about guys that you knew were significantly older than you?
I'll be honest. I saw a couple cats because I remember watching that on Friday when I watched the documentary, and I did see some cats that was older. But you had cats like me, Wes. I had just crossed. You can kind of look at a cat and tell what age range they were in. The vast majority of the cats was our age, but I did see a couple cats that was older. Especially when we got to Sunday. Sunday was a different ordeal. Sunday I saw a lot of older cats, but Friday, Saturday I could tell it was a bunch of college kids from different universities, not only from Atlanta, but from all over the country.
Where'd y'all stay?
Actually, we stayed at Wes's aunt's crib because it just so happened she was out of town that weekend, and she had told Wes Pops that we could stay there, so we stayed at her crib. So we stayed out in Gwinnett County. I had never even heard of that part of Atlanta at that time. We stayed out in Gwinnett County all weekend, and we really didn't even stay there. We just stayed there to take a nap, take a shower, and then we was right back out in the street. So we really didn't even stay there that long. I couldn't even tell you what the house looked like.
This is church after hours, but it's starting to sound like First 48. Kurt was like, hey, where did you stay? Like, hey, he going, hey, y'all going.
But that's a good question, though, because a lot of people. Now that's a good question, Kurt, because a lot of people stayed with people they knew. Like the hotels wasn't overly populated like that back then. Because you got to think, it's a lot of college kids. They're not going to give you access to hotels unless you're over 21, and the vast majority of us wasn't. I was only 19 years old at the time. I wasn't even 20 until later that year. You know what I mean? So that's actually a good question. A lot of people were staying at their friends' dorms or relatives that was down there, or friends' apartments and whatnot.
The reason I asked that question is because, I peeked, towards the end of the documentary that they were starting to show news, video clippings of the actual news when they were trying to shut it down, and we seen the propaganda machine start to really hit hard. I remember one. I think it was an older white gentleman that said, these young people, I've never seen anybody with money as much as they have. You know what I mean? And I just thought, like, well, damn, like, for him to say that, was it either A, unauthentic, or B, did he think, you know what I mean, that we're all poor and
Right.
because you know what I mean? Because we worked, you
Right.
know,
Worked
or was
hard.
he just trying to sell that there's a bunch of drug dealers down here type of
That part.
mentality on the news?
Big meats.
D, when
BMF.
you when you say when what would you say to some of the things that you saw about the propaganda machine in the documentary?
It was a
Large
lot of
money.
it was a lot of propaganda in the documentary for sure. Because again, the way that they explained it and what I saw when I was down there for 3 days, because we got down there, like I said, early Friday morning and we left late Sunday night. We had got stuck in traffic Sunday. We had planned on leaving at like 4 or 5, but we didn't get on the highway till like 9 or 10 o'clock that night because we had got stuck in traffic. And it was the only time in my life I was ever happy to be stuck in traffic. But I felt like it was a lot of propaganda because a lot of the things that they were saying that was taking place just wasn't taking place from my vantage point. Not saying it wasn't happening in different other places around Atlanta. And I got a funny story I want to interject right here before I forget. And our brother that's not with us tonight, Barry Bonds, will see this and he'll deny this, but I got it on good authority. So again, I'm at Wright State, and it just so happened this is a perfect church after hour story. My home church in Chicago, Holy Trinity, actually came to Cincinnati that weekend, right? They was doing a fellowship with our church at the time, which was Lincoln Heights. So my grandma and everybody from Chicago came. Everybody's like, "Where Dan? Where Dan?" They're like, "Oh, he at school." Now I'm only at Wright State. I'm only 45 minutes away. Like if I wanted to, if I wouldn't have been in Atlanta, I would have been there to see my grandma and everybody. So then they at the house eating and everything, and something comes on the news where it was something going on downtown Atlanta with this whole freak that gets on CNN. And then Barry was like, "Yeah, y'all know y'all boy down there, D down there right now." You know what I'm saying? So he straight threw me under the bus. So mind you, if that was true, which it was, my mom now, I'm calling Johnny or JD, you know what I'm saying, or Mill, you calling Sophie, you calling Gigi, whoever, and where you at? But in 97, it wasn't no cell phones. They couldn't get a hold of me, you know what I'm saying? Or I wasn't in the tax bracket where I could afford a cell phone, so to say. So my mom called me that Monday when I got back from school and was like, "Where you been all weekend?" And sometimes, you know, when your parents ask you a question in a certain tone of voice, it's like they already know the answer. So don't even lie. I was like, "Yeah, I went to Atlanta this weekend." She's like, "Oh, okay, we'll talk when you get home." And that was the end of it. You know what I'm saying? But when I got back, she told me that Barry had mentioned that I was down there. So thank you, Barry, for snitching on me. You know what I'm saying?
Some things never change. Some things never change.
Wow.
Don't say too much because we need Eddie Kendricks.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, how did everybody like the documentary, Jay?
To talk about memories and thinking about the time that whole thing happened, of what was going on in my life. It brought back memories of us being young adults, teenagers, me being 2 years younger than my brother. So everything he did when he got his license, we had our form of, I don't want to say Freaknik, but something here in the city where we went. It's not Freaknik, but it was the meeting of young adults and teenagers down at Eden Park. I mean, right where the skyline where my man is sitting, where Kurt is sitting right behind his home today. We met there. It was early.
It wasn't no freak. It wasn't no freak in
freak.
the Nick.
But it was everybody dressing up in their best, the best cars coming out, and we walked through on a Sunday afternoon, which I really believe that some of the news and the propaganda that was going on in Atlanta really shut that down around the country, because I know it's multiple cities that did this ritual where we all got together, walked around, the guys talking to the girls. It was respectful. What we say, hollering and getting numbers. It was that type of atmosphere, but without the Luke party. That might have came later that night once the music and the older crowd separated from the younger crowd, but that's what it reminded me of.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly, because again, the same thing going on in Chicago on Lakeshore Drive on the lake. Everybody out there, you know, parking lot pimping. And Eden Park was that place where you would go, like you said, put your Sunday's best on, fresh out of church, kicking it, trying to holler. And the Sunday part of Freaknik was just that, but it was at Piedmont Park, which they talked about. So Piedmont Park was kind of more chill. It was that Sunday. I think that was the only true essence of the original 83 Freaknik. Piedmont Park, everybody was kicking it, had your liquor, had your beer with coolers, people out there barbecuing, and you didn't see, sisters out really getting wild at that point in time. So to me, that was kind of like the culmination of the weekend where everybody's now chilling, having a good time before they make their exodus back to their respective cities. And Wes will tell you that Piedmont Park setup that Sunday really reminded me of being in Cincinnati at Eden Park.
Yeah, that's something that made me think of Eden Park as well when the lady started actually naming outfits. She said the 2-button polo,
yep,
some Daisy Dukes, and some Jordans. You know what I mean? So we know they was Nautica. You know what I'm saying? We were not. We honestly,
Tommy,
some of them did the polo, but it was Tommy. It was Nautica. You know, yeah, but that was fresh, and it was simple, man. But
I think it's an atmosphere that our kids will never. I don't think that anything like that could ever come back. Where we just cars driving through, people fresh, hot summer day, and was just
that's because they don't go outside no more.
And no violence, right?
No violence at all.
Yeah,
no violence at all.
I tell you another thing we can't get back, like the sister talked about the hairdos.
Yes.
We can't get that back now because everybody wearing wigs. Yep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's it.
No, that's real. That's real.
Yeah, that's
and our mom being a beautician can tell you like that was a beautician's dream. You could make so much money because sisters was getting their hair done and not using extensions and things of that nature back at that time. So they was getting their hair done every 3 to 4 weeks. You know what I mean? So you are absolutely correct. The creativity with the hairstyles and the whole 9 yards. Absolutely. Now everybody look the same.
The niggas took over that. They getting all them fake waves put in their head.
Yeah.
So the man units took over.
They taking over for the women.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the man unit to get super popular and people to stop downing it. So I give me one. You know what I mean?
Come on,
you can blend in with everybody else.
Come on, it is super popular, nigga. Yo, there's niggas who always got it. You don't even know who got it.
Yeah, my homeboys tell it. My hairline recede. I'm about ready for one. Like, my joy running.
Jay, I take what you got right now. You know what I mean? I was once told I had the Wu-Tang sign in mine. You know? So I sure can't do nothing with it. Yeah, man. I the first reaction though, and I want to say this before we move away from this conversation, was opening up with 21 Savage. I thought that he obviously, to me, put some money into producing, if not all, because I truly didn't understand why we was listening to this young buck talk about something that, he never witnessed or
he heard about
or was even around during that time period in the United States. So, as a actual visual thing, I think they did justice with restoring a lot of those old videos that did look, okay to see on TV, compared to a lot of other older stuff we see, a lot of our older videos. I don't know what to say about the end though. I think it was a learning experience to show the propaganda machine that the news has when they just shut something down. It's always for more money, whether it's a highway going in the middle of a black neighborhood, whether it's that popular lake that they're about to open a water park at down in Atlanta, going over top of, once again, a black neighborhood. Man, it was, I think it was just, I don't know if I want to say shocking, but it was just one of those things that, continues in history to just, shut black people's things down that they got going on amongst themselves.
That's how I was going. I'm piggyback off that, French, for just knowing I haven't seen it, but it's good to see every time when we get to, it's good to show and expose, our culture, how we love to have fun and how we get down. But then it's like the counterparts, the propaganda machine looks at us like we just full of debauchery when that's where we learned it from, is that side. So, but, when we always party and having fun, we can't gather or do nothing. They're going to shut us down. You know,
And when you see the documentary, and Kurt didn't mention this, they mentioned, you know what I'm saying, South Beach. They mentioned Daytona. They mentioned a lot of these, you know, even Arizona with the spring breaks. And let's just call a spade with the white kids in the white institutions. They was doing stuff way more worse than what was going on at Freaknik, but they never shut any of those things down. You see what I'm saying? So you're absolutely correct when you talk about the propaganda machine. Is like, you know, when we do something, it's exacerbated. You know what I'm saying? It's insane how that works. You know what I'm saying? And it still happens to this day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
correct.
To see
Yeah.
the ending, of the documentary, the one thing that came to mind was it made me think of our hometown Chicago when we were in the runnings and in the bid for the Olympics. Everybody knew some of the plans and some of the things they were getting ready to change up in the city. I guess I have to say that I'm happy that we didn't get it, because the city would be with the uprise of all of the violence and the things that was going on around those years that Chicago was supposed to get the
It was
Olympics.
2016.
I can imagine the death and the movement of our people out of certain areas for them to make way for this Olympics the same way they did in Atlanta with just something small like a Freaknik, where they
Right.
just moved the money around to get their city together to prepare for the Olympics. I can imagine the destruction that would have took place in our hometown Chicago, is just trying to usher in the Olympics and make the city look, you know, a certain way. We are the ones that get the butt end of the stick. So
Everybody can relax now. The documentary is out. I think that people was more scared just from the trailer than the actual documentary being out. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, who gonna be exposed? I don't think it, and I think the people that did a good job didn't shut that noise down because they didn't want to hurt the momentum from the documentary. But after watching it, I don't think they really put it out to try to expose people. I just think they wanted to show what once was and then expose the people that stopped it and the propaganda machine behind it. So everybody, you can watch it. You ain't got to worry about your kids or your grandkids, you know, seeing, you know, granny or auntie or mama, you know, busting it open. It was solid. It didn't expose people in that way.
I'm gonna watch it 3 or 4 more times just to get good. I'm gonna get good looks at faces, because a couple times I was like, oh, but I was like, oh, just let me keep going. But I'm definitely going back, because I thought I seen some faces. There was some girls in there like Dayton, Ohio. So I'm pretty sure somebody we know is in that thing. I'm definitely going back and look for them. I know you had Cross Iota. I'm looking for them Desert Storm for Keys, real West. I'm definitely going back. I'm gonna watch it again. Definitely.
Yeah, I want to you know, wrap up with this. You know, one thing that D said will spark my memory of what I was thinking about the whole time I was watching the documentary was, you know, he said, busted open. You know, nothing like that ever can happen again because these kids don't dance these days.
That's real.
That was one of the main components of this documentary. You know, once you hopped out the car and, you know, like the cameras was going, you know, we was dancing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We was not dance no more. And that's one, y'all know, everybody know I like to dance. Hey, you know, that's my move. Hey, y'all know I like to dance. You know what I mean? And that's what we don't have no more. That's the biggest thing that I took away from this documentary.
I agree.
The number one thing.
What Biddy Mob said, people don't dance no more. All they do is this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that was then.
That was early 2000. That was early.
That was 20 years ago.
Yep.
You know, yeah. I think, man, I would just like to see these young kids get to dancing again, because that alone will subside a lot of this violence, I think.
Yes, I agree. And then, you know, I'm gonna give y'all a little sneak peek, and we can talk about
they pants too tight.
That too.
I'm gonna give y'all this, and we can talk about this with another pod. They said it was a continuation of Freaknik in 03 when it was the All-Star game in Atlanta. And I was down there for that. That was epic too. You know what I'm saying? It was a little colder then because it was in February. But you know, that was an epic weekend in Atlanta too, man. And that was when, you know, Freaknik had been going for like 3 or 4 years at that time. So that was another epic weekend in Atlanta, man. 03 All-Star game for sure.
You got pictures too?
You relive it, actually.
I don't.
He's still thinking about those pictures. He got to move them pictures, baby.
I got
Hey, after this come out, I have to move them
Hey,
pictures.
I'm gonna send you some pictures that you can post on here. Me and the Young West. You know what I'm saying? So you can post on the episode. We cool.
I don't know if it's the ratchet in me, but I want to see all of this footage that they got mailed in for this thing, and they could blur the faces out. I just want to see that era. It don't really. Let me rephrase. It don't have to be nothing nasty. I just want to see more of the people moving through the crowds, guys
You know that
acting
era.
up.
Right.
I do exactly.
Call
Hey,
West. West got it, B. West got it.
I want to rock. I want to rock.
I want to see the fashion, the hairdos.
Jay, go on YouTube, type in Freaknik.
And
hours and hours and hours, brother.
I bet.
Upon hours. Yeah. Hey, this is Church After Hours, Freaknik edition. Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Peace.